Hello and welcome to my first podcast. I'm your host, Max Röck, and today you're listening to You Have the Power. So, a small note from my side. We all consume content differently, so if you hear through any of your podcast platforms, you're most likely someone who likes to listen to it, to understand the things. But we also want to watch. So if you want to watch it, be able to see the accompanied video content to this episode, please go into the show notes and you will see the link to the YouTube episode or YouTube version of this episode. And last but not least, if we don't apply and do what we learn, do we really know what we know? This podcast is about my journey from mediocrity to mastery. Learnings I have along the way, tips, tricks and exercises which have helped me to get ahead faster and which will also help you to get ahead faster when applied to your situations, life, challenges, which will make your ultimate shortcut to mastery. So what I want to talk today about, the end of the year approaches, and for many of us which an employment, it means annual review time, performance review. We go through that kind of necessary step every year to get reviewed by our bosses, maybe even co-workers. If we're lucky, it's feedback we can also give back to our bosses, or we can also give to co-workers during the year. But from where I come from, or companies I have worked for, it was always something annual, once a year, something which is not often enough, I believe, and which does not really give you immediate enough feedback to kind of improve in a direction or get feedback on improvements you put in during the year, which then means you may not be at the same page as the people reviewing you, because they might remember events from like 12 months, which is a very long period. Then you don't remind the same time. So make sure you take notes. Ask for feedback frequent enough. They're not gonna give it to you if they only have to do it once a year. But if you ask for it, they're usually happy to do. And take that advice. If you've been told to improve in certain areas, and you don't know how, ask how. If they want you to do it in a certain way, they most likely will be able to tell you how. And they're happy to do. We're all happy to help others. Most of us, at least. Speaking for myself, I like to help others to learn something I already know, or even gain knowledge and then be able to teach it to them. Something I strive for, something I really enjoy doing. And that comes across an exercise I've learned from my mentor. Something which, particularly if you feel misunderstood, not treated respectfully, or in a way you believe you have deserved, will help you going forward. And it's rebuilding, or if it has never been there, build self-esteem, the worth you have for yourself. And if you are not worth the world to yourself, who do you believe will see worthiness in you. So I would highly recommend you to take a pen and a paper, or use your phone. You most certainly will listen to, and take the note session and type it down. Either way will be fine. I have typed down myself when I was listening to it or was being taught it. So there are a few questions we can go through, and I have written down the answers. You should so too. For now, it will also be fine just to write down the questions, and then make sure after you have listened to the podcast episode to take the time, maybe 20 minutes, 15 minutes, whatever it takes, even half an hour. It's fine. It's something you do for yourself. Take the time out, write it down, and what comes out at the end is magical. At least it was for me. And I would love if you're open to share. Just go into the show notes, take any of the contact details, social handles you can find to me, reach out to me. I would love to hear what you have gotten out of it. So number 1 is list 3 positive characteristics you have. So anything. Are you a happy person? Problem solver? Do you make other people laugh? Anything coming into my mind, put it down. List 3 things you're proud of yourself. Again, there can be anything. It can be your calves, your smile, your teeth, I don't know, your left index finger. Anything you're proud of. It matters to you. Something you in particular like. It doesn't have to be something anyone else likes. It has to be for you. List 3 achievements you're most proud of. In this instance, it was something I have recently achieved. For instance, I've run a half marathon, sub 2 hours. Achievement I'm hugely proud of. And something I have talked to in previous episodes, so feel free to go back and revisit them and listen to it. But that's something I'm very proud of, I have achieved. So list down your 3 achievements you're proud of. List 3 ways you can treat yourself when you're feeling down, or how to reward yourself when appropriate. So that's important now. It's not buying that Porsche, buying that Lamborghini, or buying that Ferrari, or whatever big investment, big kind of monetary goal you look for. It's something you should do with little to non-investment involved. Something which makes you feel whole, happy within you. Something you can do. For me, it's working out and afterwards go into a sauna, sweat, cold shower, maybe walk outside of a balcony where it's cold, which is great with the winter coming up. Something I enjoy tremendously and I take as a reward after a long day in the office. List 3 things you can do to make you laugh. And in the call, when my mentor was actually saying that, I had to laugh so hard because there was that one thing coming into my mind that he had to ask what it is. That I think I almost cried how hard I was laughing. And it's I have a friend and he's scared shitless of clowns. So what I was doing in the beginning, I sent him clown pictures, but then he had that preview and he never opened them, so it was kind of useless for me to send those clown pictures. So what I did, I started and create like shortened URLs. So there was like a Google page where you could shorten URLs before Bitly was a thing, or shorten URLs to pictures of clowns, which I sent him, and I was talking to him something which he was excited about, and then I asked him, oh, did you read that, or did you see that thing? And then I sent the URL, and then was the clown coming up, which it's totally stupid, but it made me laugh. So if there's something as stupid as I have, list them, and you will say that alone will make you laugh and will make you a great day. And then list 3 things you have done for someone else. And at some point I will list there that he has lost his fear of clowns because I've sent him so many. But yeah, things you have done. Someone you helped to pick himself up when he saw a teacher says to pack up his things and leave. Anything. Open the door for someone. List it. And it's something you can be most certainly proud of. List 3 things you can do for yourself to feel better. For instance, when I'm very thoughtful and my mind wanders and I have all those different thoughts in my mind which I can't really clear, I went for a long run, and somehow I have time, focus to kind of clear those thoughts off, and big challenges become more tangible, more feasible, easier to break down in small individual tasks. Something I should probably do next week. Run, clear my mind, be less distracted through focusing on what's in front of me, being out in nature. Meditate, something I do on a daily basis. Write it down for yourself. So now, if you have written that down on your piece of paper in your note section, put one last question at the end, just underneath it, looking at above all the questions you just answered makes me realize and now finish that sentence in your head. What does it make you? And I will tell you in a second what it made me realize. And that piece of paper, that note section in your phone, ideally put it in your phone notes anyway with that. And keep it somewhere where you can find it. And if you feel down, if you need to get that push, that self-esteem push, take out that note, read through your questions, your answers, and then answer yourself that question. Looking at the above makes me realize I love to motivate, help others around me do and feel better. That's something I love to do. If someone comes with a question to me, something they are facing, they can't overcome, I'm not gonna stop until I can be able to help them. That's something I love, something I enjoy doing. So that's an exercise I want to share with you. I feel called to share. I feel very powerful, and something helped myself to move out of something of a day I have been feeling down, which have been shared with me on a day I needed it the most. So if there's anyone you see who may need that someday, maybe in particular that day, just take the link to that episode and share it with that person. That person will be thankful for you, and there will most certainly be something you have done for someone else. And if you don't want to share the episode, call them, talk them through, share it with them. Do we really know it if we don't do it? If we're not sharing it, do we really care to share in your own words using the episode? It doesn't matter, as long as you give it to somebody else, which will also be able to help and do it for themselves. So the learnings of this episode for me: we are accountable for ourselves. We can make ourselves feel better. There's so many things we can do. Don't beat yourself up. It's not the end of the world if there's something happening we haven't foreseen. Prepare and execute. So if we know what is to do, if we know what we can do to make ourselves feel better, prepare, plan, and then also do it. Be kind to ourselves. If we are not kind to ourselves, how do we expect somebody else treats us in a kind manner? So I would also like to ask you for a small favor, which I already have done during this episode. That doesn't matter if you're a previous listener, returning listener, or maybe a first-time listener, so welcome to the show. I would love you to share this episode with, or any episode for that matter, with 3 or 4 friends. Ideally with people in this particular episode which you may have seen feeling down for the last days, weeks, or even months. And see if that would be an exercise for them. Even if you're close enough to them, drive there, walk over there, and do the exercise with them together. So be their accountability partner to actually follow through with the exercise to get it done. That's everything for today. I thank you for your time and attention. Thank you for listening. I'm your host, Max Röck, and until next time.